Shana Tova. 5780. Woo! It's a new decade. In this time, we'll be turning into 2020. A new decade dawns upon us. And Matteo, everything is 80s again. Right down from it's like we've entered into a mild dystopian time, waiting for an Orwellian manifestation perhaps of 2024 or 5784 in 4 years. I'm not sure, but something palpable has happened. And it is an act of personal renegade and revolution to be here today. Please come right ahead. We love you. You came from the valley. Should I out you by that? That's awesome. We're so glad you're here. So something really specific is happening that's very special. Matteo, we could take it to what's next. What's special that's happening as we're at 5780, a Soul Odyssey, welcome. Let's take I'm sorry to deep breathe, but we're not a community that deep breathes, but I just want us to take a breath, especially because they just got here, and we want everyone's molecules to be present, so let's just take a... I love how everyone is like, I'm gonna find the best instrument for me today. It's like not what color is your parachute, it's what instrument am I choosing and how is this my soul sound, right? So it's 5780, it's a Soul Odyssey. It is an act of public defiance to be in observance of Rosh Hashanah. It is against the trend of global thoughtfulness or thoughtlessness, perhaps, to say I'm going to go somewhere for 3 hours and spend time going deep into my personal accountability in this world is really anti-trend for this world that we live in now. So I just want to say yesher koach to everyone. I want to say this is an act of public defiance. And I also want everyone to look around the room because we did something very specific this year at Open Temple. We filled this room with the people who are co-creating Open Temple and only the people who are co-creating Open Temple. So I want to remind everyone who is here, it's because we're doing something very special together, and that those who wanted to have a piece of it are there behind the camera, watching us through live stream. Thank you, Jewish Journal, for making that happen and making it accessible to everyone. A part of our commitment here is to keep intimate ritual space, and that's what we're experiencing, because indeed, what's called upon us to do is an intimate experience. We have to kind of drop very deeply inside in a way that requires vulnerability, authenticity, rebuke, reflectiveness, and this intimacy demands a safe space. And so I just want to lay down a ground rule that this is a safe space to feel, it is a safe space to reflect, and also a safe space to be authentic. Authenticity, not oftentimes equated with Los Angeles, is demanded of this space. And so we've entered into this beyond, we've kind of stepped beyond the earth into the cosmos to kind of apprehend what is out there as we look as to what is inside of each of us. We're gonna move on. This time of year is really interesting. We have to create a Kehila Kadosha, and what I wanna remind us is that we're all kind of in the balance. We're in the balance of the zodiac sign, of the scales. Anyone here a Libra? I dated a Libra once for 8 years, and the one thing I noticed is it's the only sign of the zodiac that's an inanimate object. For those of us in relationships with Libras, that's very helpful to note. I know nothing about the zodiac. I learned that when I was dating this guy, and I was like, that makes so much sense. I can, communicate so much more successfully. So we're in this time, but the idea is that we're kind of weighing. We're weighing the sum total of our lives. We're weighing our actions of chesed against our actions of deen, and that's a theme that we're going to be playing with and turning as we go through this return. We can't continue, as you all know, until we become what's called a Kehila Kadosha, and although I know everyone in this room, not everyone in this room knows one another, so please take an authentic moment out to turn, introduce ourselves to one another, and let's transform from this random constellation of individuals into a holy community. I'm Lori. Hi, you are? Carrie. I think you're the only one. My hand's wet because I just spilled water on it. You're the only one I don't know. I don't know if I met you. There's so many, right? Oh, I'm so happy you're here, Carrie. Nice to meet you again, Charlie and Clifford. Nice to meet you. Beautiful. Thank you for being here. It's an experience. So we we want to acknowledge the occupational hazard of the rabbi saying, please talk to one another into a room full of Jews at the risk of never getting the room back. But I also want to welcome Carrie, who I think is here for the first time. Are you the only one? Have you been to Rosh Hashanah before? Have you been to Rosh Hashanah before? Yes. So this is Open Temple. I'm speaking really to you. Is anyone else here for the first time? I think, oh, we have another one. What's your name? Hi, Rob. Oh, you're Robbie. Robbie Brenner. Yeah, Robbie's here for the first time. Okay, so it's these two. And a part of what I want to say is we are a radical re-envisionment of ritual space. And the idea is that Judaism has always been very alive. And then something happened in the mid-20th century that made it kind of calcified. And we started doing mausoleum Judaism for about 50 years. And a new, not only century has passed, but a new millennia has passed. And in that millennia, I theorize that we can reclaim the alacrity and the immediacy of the ritual moment in the ways that our ancestors have by allowing it to run through our culture and our cultural understanding of the world, because that's what Judaism has always done. And so Open Temple is here on the west side of LA, and we are radically reimagining Judaism through the lens of our contemporary lives, with one foot firmly grounded in tradition. So, great, thank you. Thank you, so welcome. All right, so we're going on. We're gonna keep moving, let's go. Does anyone know, not those of you who were here last night, but what is this? Yes, what are we looking at? We have to, what? Huh? An eclipse, I love that. It's a kind of eclipse, but it's not a full eclipse. It's a what? It's a moon, it's a new moon, right? It's a new moon, James, my yeshiva bocher, yes. It's the new moon, and the Mishnah, which is really the place where the discussion of Rosh Hashanah happens, because in the Torah, it's only mentioned twice, that's it. But in the Mishnah, there's a whole Maseket in the Mishnah and the Torah, Maskot, who are dedicated to the talking of Rosh Hashanah, and they curiously begin the conversation with this, a new moon. By that, they defined this time, and actually in the Torah as well, the only thing that we know of what the Torah says is it's a new moon holiday, right, where you're going to sound the famous truah, the sound of trembling of the shofar. And this photo I stole from Facebook yesterday because a beautiful woman posted it as the new moon rising over Israel last night. So this was the moment that our ancients, this very, very apprehension was what our ancients were looking for. And they were looking for it in order to then sound the shofar with great trembling, almost a war cry, saying, "It's the new moon!" And then they would reply, "Are you sure?" And they'd say, "I think so." And then perhaps they'd say back, "But I don't see it yet," on the next mountain. And so what happens is Rosh Hashanah was expanded to 2 days to be able to be sure, not only to dwell in the simcha of this time, but also to be sure that it is the new moon. That's how important this understanding of our connection to the cosmos is on this holiday. We need to look up and understand our place in this universe. We move forward. And what's this? Right? It's the earth, right? And what I love is, the rabbis call this, they say, Vayar Elohim et haaretz vehinene nischata. They say, and God saw that the earth, and behold, it was corrupted, right? They had this whole drash about how this beautiful blue marble was being corrupted by humans, right? And they didn't even know of what would happen. They were kind of prescient in their forecasting of what might happen. From the very beginning of their reflections of relationship of earth, the rabbis knew that humans struggled to live fully in shleimut, in wholeness and peace with the earth. And I find that really curious, especially living in a time of climate consciousness, that the rabbis had such personal rebuke and reflectiveness about humans' interaction with the earth. It's really incredibly foretelling. But with that, I also think how they had no idea of this. You know, the early rabbis of the Mishnah, the Tanaim, had no idea of this, right? And it wasn't until, a few hundred years later that we have Ptolemy, and Ptolemy thought, well, there is this thing called an earth. And he said, of course, what? Oh, we could do some kisses. Let's make the day a little fun, right? So what did Ptolemy say? You guys who were here last night, don't say it. I'm just giving a little bit of entry. Does anyone say? The Ptolemists? He said that the earth was the center of the universe, right? Of course, the Romans thought that. And the ancient Greeks, they all thought they were the center of the world, right? But then it evolved, and it actually stuck for like over 1,000 years. And then a dude came along who changed everything. Who was it? Yeah, you're so smart. Yes, of course it was Joe Green. Here you go. It was Copernicus. Oh, I'll give you another one. Sorry. Here you go. So Copernicus came along and said, we're not, sorry guys, we're not the center of the world. We're actually a part of something called a galaxy, and that big kind of star, that's our closest star, we're kind of moving around it. But he actually had one fatal flaw, and that he couldn't entirely prove it. He could kind of speculate through the constellations, but he couldn't prove it. So who came along to prove it? Who said that? You did. It was Galileo. Were you going to say Galileo? Yeah, oh, you totally get this. You get 2 because you were humble. Right, and 1 for your mom, because you tell the truth. Okay, and who was that up here? Oh, it was Sonia. There you go. And you knew it too, right? You knew it too. I know you did, Henry. Okay, so go ahead. So they came from the valley. It's okay. Lane, it's fine. So it was Galileo. Galileo was able to prove it, and what's really cool about Galileo proving it is the technology he used to prove it was a telescope, right? Galileo proved that the earth was not the center of the universe through a telescope. And from there, an entire perspective was recast. And a part of the transition we're in right now is to take that telescope, I invite us all to take that telescope and cast it into the soul. Because that is what Rosh Hashanah and the Yamim Noraim are. It is a telescope into the soul. We are an inner cosmos. We're a microcosm of a macrocosm, like Vitruvian Man, right? We are kind of somewhere in this amazing expanse of the cosmos Kemai. And each and every one of our eyes are here today to understand how we live in confluence with that movement. That's why we're told to look up. Look up and take the telescope into the soul. Go on, Mateo. So we're going to begin again, but we have to figure out how to do it. Each of us has a spiritual curriculum. We have a reason why we're on this earth. Many people lead unexamined lives. And as Jews, we have a really powerful technology to move through the examination of our lives. It is called Torah, our special guest who will be showing up in about an hour. This Torah is a guidebook. It's something that helps us understand. It's like crawling into the thoughts of those who lived thousands of years ago and seeing how they dealt with the complexities of life, because believe it or not, they were the same complexities, as we all know. We could just hear their whisperings through these ancient words. The curriculum that we're given right now is through the technology of the Yamim Noraim. And through this experience of the high holidays, we can begin to understand what is our personal spiritual curriculum. How can I understand my place in this universe more clearly? Move it forward. So we have to kind of look more closely as what we're getting into. Because you two are new. I'm going to tell you, people who are here know that we front load services. There is prayer. I'll say it first. I think prayer is weird. I think it's really weird. But I think it gets us there. It's one of the transportation vehicles that we use in order to shake through, to get to the essence of what's inside of us. But we front load at Open Temple so we can understand how the prayers are vehicles for us. If we don't have a kavanah, an intention, then the keva, the vessel of the prayer, it has no gas. So, and it shouldn't have gas. It should be solar powered and then put in an electric car, right? So you understand. But this is one of the technologies we're working with. We're looking at the Jewish calendar itself. And the Jewish calendar itself, if we can observe a little bit for some kisses to make this service a little sweeter. It is a sweet new year. What are some of the things that we see in this particular mandala of the year? Yes. What? Months, right? There's like a basic metric of measurement. Jasper, will you come to Creative Torah Academy? You're super smart. Thank you. All right, so we have months. So we had to create a system to kind of take this experience, this geometric experience of 360 of a circle, and kind of break it down into categories. And those months were really influenced by the rabbis lived amongst the Zoroastrians, and they were really constellation-based. So it was very influenced by an understanding of the cosmos. But it goes beyond that, because what happens in each of the different months? Right, we have harvests, right? So we go from this time of actual constellations to then manifesting how the earth turns. And we want to be sensitive and say that ours is a northern hemisphere-centric cycle. And the cycle is really looking at the harvests of the year. And what's interesting about that is when you look at the time that we're in, at Rosh Hashanah, we're going to have a harvest festival coming, which is called, you got it, who's like that? So fantastic. Oh, Judy, there you go, get it to Judy. Okay, it's Sukkot, but Rosh Hashanah itself shares a lot of the liturgy of the Shalosh Regalim, of the 3 harvest festivals. So there's something folded into it that's to make us even more aware of earth consciousness. Is there anything else that's kind of interesting about it? Anything I want to say? No? Seasons? Yes, seasons. And that's where, I always give the zechut of Rabbi Alan Liu, Zichrono Livracha. He gave us an exquisite book called This Is Real and I Am Entirely Unprepared, or We Are Entirely Unprepared. And within like a year or 2 of writing this exquisite book, he died suddenly of a heart attack while running in Balboa Park in San Francisco. And Balboa Park? Or is that down south? No, that's up north, right. So his offering in the book was the perspective of how our lives were really turning on our relationship of this earth right now. And that our prayers in their origins were prayers to elicit a certain impact, a favorability of what would happen in the agrarian season to sustain life through a winter. So it literally is, in this time of year, that we are praying, our prayers are like a fervent rain dance, and that we know today on Rosh Hashanah, moving through Yom Kippur, that we will only merit life if we have purity of intention that merits rain. And then the rain is going to then bring the fecundity of the earth, which will then bring a harvest, which will then sustain us another year before a time of Erewhon and Costco, right? So there is this cycle that occurred that was really, really real back in the day. And today we've grown so removed from it. And Rosh Hashanah is a wonderful day to come back to the intimacy of that truism. So let's hyperwarp into what we're doing right now. Anyone recognize? Hero's Journey? Yeah, Joseph Campbell. You got it up there? Is it Brad? Eyes above? It was Joe? Again? Oh, Joe. Go give it to Brad. All right. So you guys should meet anyway. You're good. Joe, Brad, Joe. Okay, in there. Good people. All right. So we have the hero's journey, and this is really where we kind of hyperlink in to what's going on right now, because we're each on this journey. And this journey begins, like any journey, with a call, right? And the call began actually during the time of Elul. And how do we begin the call in Elul? The first of Elul, we begin what ritual? The shofar, right? The sound of the shofar. So the sound of the shofar is there to awaken our souls, to begin this journey of Hir Hor Tshuva, of awakening. And as we go through this time of Elul, Elul itself in Aramaic means to search or to scout out. So we're searching, we're deeply probing, we're trying to apprehend, to understand. We go through these calls, and then we're given this image, the king is in the field. We're given this like uncompromising visual of a God, whatever that means, as an anthropomorphic, absolute deity. None of this transcendent, I, thou, Uzi, God through nature. No, this is like a king is in a field, right? We're working with something very, very concrete and actual. And then from there, this idea of the king in the field, we translate it to an idea of like beneficence, and Nila Dodi Vadodi Li. It is a sensual relationship with the king in the field. I am my beloved and my beloved is mine. That also works through Elul, especially on Tisha B'Av, on Tu B'Shvat. Nope, Tu B'Av. Sorry, it took me 3 times to get there. Okay, so Tu B'Av, which is the 15th of before, we're beginning to get ready for that relationship, and then we move into Elul and we fold it in to this idea of intimacy, of God as a love, a beloved. And then we go into like the deeper reflection. Here we are somewhere about Rosh Hashanah, starting the tshuva, Reckoning, the idea of return. In what ways have I missed the mark? Torah is from the same shorish, the same root as hitting the mark, but right now we're looking at how we're missing the mark. And so in what ways have I really been awful? I love that I see some of us with journals, because this is the time that we can begin the journals. The journals are private. If you really, 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 really want to keep your journal, of course you can. But what we do is we create public journals that are anonymous, so that we can all see the humanity of one another without knowing who wrote what. So you can write in it without any kind of like worry that someone's gonna know who you are, unless it's your spouse who knows your penmanship, in which case you gotta deal with that yourself. But use the journals to do that tshuva, to make that list on the page, what I sucked at, what I was awesome at, and start those lists, those personal reflective lists right now while we're here, if I'm talking too much or the prayers don't work for you. Then we go into, on Rosh Hashanah, it is written, on Yom Kippur it is sealed, and we kind of weigh ourselves in the scales of balance of justice and say, how am I doing? And if we merit a place to kind of reach that near-death experience of Kol Nidre and atonement, if we really reach that time of that 25-hour experience of Yom Kippur, we just might have the catharsis that merits us to go and crawl into the womb a second time of Sukkot and then elevate ourselves through the most, I think, illustrious form of celebration, which is dance and song and Torah on Simchat Torah. And I will give a plug, keep going forward, for how Open Temple does that. We do a silent disco dance walk on Abbot Boulevard to the beach with the Torah on Simchat Torah. It's beautiful, and it's just one example of how we lead all of us through a spiritual curriculum. Our spiritual curriculum, again, is how we find our place on this earth, and the spiritual practices that we do are the actual engagements to be able to shake up and stay on the derech. You know, one of the consciousnesses of Rosh Hashanah is derech eretz, the way of the earth. And the way of the earth is also a beautiful word for halakha, Jewish law. And Jewish law or mitzvot are really what I like to call imperatives that just can't help but exist in this world, like a little sprout going through the asphalt. That to me is the energy behind a mitzvah, something that needs to exist. And derech eretz in its most glorious form is the intimacy of knowing someone to create with him. So those levels of what we're trying to attune ourselves to, this is the spiritual practice that Open Temples offers to get there and then beyond through the year as well. And we are here today to enter into this soul journey. Are you all ready? Keep going. You ready? We're good? Okay, first I just want to know the names for Rosh Hashanah. I should give you. They're all there. You don't earn anything. All right. So what names do we have? We spoke of it already, Yom Teruah, the day of trembling, right? Of the tremulous call. It's a battle cry. And as we said when we walked in today, we are renegade. This is a revolution. This is radical. I mean, there is a reason why I say Jews have 28% of all Nobel Prizes. It's because we do this every year, and we force ourselves to realign and assess and examine. And that same kind of spiritual system that we apply to ourselves and our souls, we then will allow us to apply to the world. So let's get real and let's go deep and let us hear the call of this battle. Then we have, this is the next thing, Yom Hadin. All right, so I'm going to out something. If there is no national calamity between now and Wednesday, I am humbled to announce that I have the cover story in the Jewish Journal, and it's a doozy. The concept behind the article is to redeem judgment and take it back. On the Myers-Briggs, I'm an ENFJ. My J is very strong. Being judgy is something I do naturally. And a big part of my life's work is to convert that judgment into compassion for others so that I can focus that judgment on self-improvement and not inflict it to every single person that drives on Dale Avenue the wrong way on their bicycle that then triggers me to be judgy and frightened and then tell them that they remind me of someone who I don't think very highly of. That's all I'll say. So this is the day we actually have to convert judgment. The telescope goes from outside to inside, and judgment is actually a necessary tool for us to self-regulate. It is the self-regulation tool of the frontal lobe, and we need to apply it to ourselves. Our prayers are here. We're going to start praying soon, and the prayers are here to help us with the system of healthy judgment, but we need to reclaim healthy judgment. And I'm not talking about microaggression, disinvitations, or call-outs. There's no hashtag #MeToo here. This is a time that we're not calling one another out. We're calling ourselves out. and that's what needs to be reclaimed. And Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the Yomim Noraim, are here to allow us to do it in a healthy way. But it's also this, Yom HaZikaron. And this is where we begin to peel back the curtain of what existed before we got here. We're remembering Yetziat Mitzrayim because there's a demi-exodus that's happening with us, but the exodus is from our own foibles and limitations. So we're remembering all of the beneficence that we were receiving, that the Torah imagination gives us and our life gratitudes give us. We're remembering all of that, and we peel back the curtain and we remember our ancestors and all of their wisdom, and we invite them. Really allow ourselves. How many of us here have lost people significant in our lives? This is a time to write a letter to them before we go to sleep and ask them to visit us in our dreams. This is a time to say, what if there is contact? This is the time to go to the beyond and say, please, come here again. Let me hear. Maybe there's a message I need to hear that you have for me. And with that comes Yom HaKiseh, which what is occluded. Kiseh is like an occlusion, what you cannot see. And just as the new moon is beginning to give a little silver sliver of light, so too in Hir Hor Tshuva are our eyes kind of awakening to allow the light in so we can begin to enhance the light within and the enlightenment that comes with it. And finally, we have our favorite, which y'all know, Rosh Hashanah. And this year, how we play with that is Rosh is head, and Shana can be change. So we're going to use our heads to change. That's what we're doing. You ready to do it? Yeah, go. What is our place in the world? What is our place in the universe? I would like everyone to take a moment out and turn to the person they either came with or someone new and say the reason of why we're here today and what we would like to get out of this experience. Take 60 seconds. Downstairs. So glad you're here. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. So good to see you. So nice. 10-second warning. I'm curious while we're here. Why are we here? What are we, crazy? Why are we here? You guys gonna go downstairs? Why are we here? Okay, go to see you soon. Why are we here? Some people, why are we here? Anyone want to share the why of we're here? Why are we here? Yes, Jenny. Celebration, yes. There's a huge celebration of life of Rosh Hashanah. It's a celebration, truly. Rosh Hashanah is our happy holiday, and yet it's still called Yom HaDin. That says something about Jewish mothers, right? So it's something about celebrating. So amen to that. Yes? Anyone else? Why are we here? Why don't we do this alone? Why don't we do this alone? Why don't I just go to Point Magoo, sit, contemplate my navel, have a nice kumbaya, hear the birds, right? Yes, Nikki? Right. It's like why, you know what you made me think when you said in a group? I thought, why, if you get just a schwinn that you would put your feet into and went like this in your garage, it wouldn't work, but if you do it with Peloton, it works, right? Because it's about the group, right? It's even better if you get to the Soul Cycle class, right? It's even better, and then it's better when you have community, right? So it says something. There's something about the alchemy of us doing this together, which is profound. Anyone else? The last share? Yes. Tradition. Tradition, right? It's because it's what my ancestors did. Because when I'm here, some atavistic memory switches on epigenetically in my DNA, and I understand my soul in my body better, right? Beautiful. Let's keep going. This is the technology we have, and this Moxor in and of itself, the word means cycle or a review, right? It's a review book. It's a cycle of our lives, and we're here to cycle through our lives and reflect. And through that cycling, like a spin cycle in a dryer, we are able to kind of allow out what needs to be shed and emerge in our warmest, truest self. And I say warmest, truest self because this Machzor is so beautiful, even though it's called Yom HaDin, right? Yom Din, we have this beautiful reminder that the balance of Din is Rachamim. And so here we are today asked to judge ourselves, but the balance of it is to remember this God character that we'll talk about and how this God character was able to work through judgment to find compassion for others. Keep going. All right. Did you guys 10Q downstairs? Just asking. This is me collaborating with our partners. 10Q is wonderful. If you didn't get 10Q, take a picture of this right now or go to the website. 10Q allows us to journal online, and a year from now, it will send it back to us each of the 10 days starting today. So please, 10Q, take a picture of 10Q. We'll email out 10Q afterwards. It's a wonderful technology by Rebooters. And Rebooters is a great organization that folds in also pop culture and technology and Judaism. Let's keep going. All right. So here we are. We're so ready. Are we ready to kind of start this journey? We front load enough that we have kavanah. We know what we're going to do for our intentions. We're going to have a little tshuva going on. So let us begin with the bracha, a blessing. A blessing is something where we have gratitude. You know, studies are showing us time and again that gratitudes are part of the cognitive behavioral therapy that alleviates depression and allows us to find release and relief from darker places internally. So let's begin with a gratitude. And this gratitude is Baruch atah Adonai Harotzeh B'tshuva. So blessed are you, God, who creates this urge or this imperative for us to have tshuva, who returns us through tshuva, who creates an intimacy with us through tshuva. Tshuva is this idea of returning like the migratory pattern of birds. Birds literally do a 180 every year and have these beautiful ellipses and cycles that they come through. You know, those of us who live in Venice or in the canals know the estuary that is the canals and the birds that come back year in and year out, the herons, right? And all of those beautiful birds migrating down and back. That's what we're doing right now. We're doing a cycle of return. Continue. So we're going to get everyone into ritual space. I would like to invite anyone who wants to begin cleansing themselves from the year before. Anyone who's comfortable doing that. Again, this is ritual space. This is not, it's not theater, though we're in one. I say theaters at their greatest usage are ritual spaces for us to come alive. So anyone who would like to come up and do a ritual washing of the hands, it's an invitation to allow our bodies to align with the intention of the day. I love you. So it goes like this. You do 3. I love you so much. Okay, here you go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al natilat yadayim. And then pass this over. Will you have a little in there? You could use that. Yeah. And this is a prayer that we say upon awakening every day. And as Hirhor Tshuva is it's our quest for awakening, we're doing this first ritual moment of the Hirhor Tshuva, awakened awareness. And I'll lead everyone in the bracha. No, stay here. We'll do the bracha. Love you so much. Great. Who's next? Come on. Oh, beautiful green talit. For those who have done, we'll do a bracha now, so you can go to your seats. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al natilat yadayim. Great. And you guys can go back to your seats. Yes. Great. there can be an intention of this, of what am I washing away? You know, if these are the hands of God, how do I want to use them and renew them this year? Thank you. You can stay here. I'll say the bracha. Here's Selena. So glad you're here. I'll say the bracha with you. It's Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, al natilat yadayim. You could say amen. Great, thank you. Yeah, there's a little more. Here you go. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, al natilat yadayim. Amen. Yeah. Done. Okay, great. Liz, I'm going to ask someone to take the water away now. Can I have Liz or someone? There. This is so pretty. Here's Liz. Thank you. Thank you. This one's so pretty, and this one is, you're good? Okay, great. Yeah, thank you. Okay, I'll take them. Thank you. Great. Thank you so much. It's good to clean up your ritual space before you get started. All right. You know, the proportion of our body to water is about the same proportion of the earth's relationship to water and land. And just as those waters kind of flow like tides and kind of rivers, it's a reminder of when we feel stuck to remember internally there's movement, there's rushing waters always, asking for us to remember the power of renewal and cleansing. Let's move forward. Let's read together. When a man is drowning in a river and splashes about, trying to pull himself out of the waters that are overwhelming him, those who see him will certainly not make fun of his splashing. So when a man prays with gestures, there is no reason to make fun of him, for he is saving himself from the raging waters that come upon him to distract him from his prayer. It's the Keter Shem Tov. This Hasidic insight into prayer reminds us of the passion behind what we're being called to do today. It is an action with absolute no holds barred. Whoever we are and however we present ourselves is what we're called to be today. And so this is the transition into beginning the prayer service. Prayer, I think, is weird. I think it's very strange. It's almost worse than that first mile of a 10K. But I think it's something that's worth doing. It's worth knowing, because just like going for a nice run that I have never regret in my life, so too prayer is something that I have never regretted doing in my life. It's just getting through that first part. And we have these beautiful ritual objects to help us along the journey. So if you did not get a talit, I invite you to go and get one now. They're outside. And let's begin this journey properly with our talitot. They're outside. Please come in. Those of us who have our talitot, please rise. Please move forward, Mateo. Stay with me. All right. We hold our talitot up. We hold them up. And we say, bless my soul, eternal one. Enlightenment is grandeur, dressing you in majesty and beauty, wrapping you in light as if a garment, stretching out the heavens like a shawl. Please go back, Mateo. Borchi nafshi et Adonai, Adonai Elohai gadalta meod, hod vehadar lavashta, ote or kasimla, note shemayim kayerea. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvah tav v'tzivanu lehitatef b'tzitzit. Thanks. You could take it forward, Mateo. Thanks. So this is a very special place for me. I've shown it before, and I decided I would show it again. Does anyone know where this is? Where? It's on a mountain. Where? It's a very specific mountain, and it's the mountain of the Jerusalem Museum, the Israel Museum in Jerusalem. And on this mountain is cut this beautiful kind of piece. Then you go, it's one of the James Turrell installations. And then you go into the mountain, and he cut into the mountain. And he cut into the mountain what I consider my Kodesh Kodeshim of Israel, a holy of holy spaces, where he created a heichel, like a little palace of a temple inside of a mountain, where you can cut out and sit and watch the sky as it turns from blue into dusk, into darkness, into stars. It's quite an exquisite space. And I can't wait for Open Temple to go to Israel together, because I'm going to take everyone there. It's a great place to chant also, or just kind of lie down for a while. And so the space is so important, because it reminds me of like the cutout of the sky, of how there's a skylight for all of us. The skylight for all of us, we say, is in our crown. It comes through our ability to think beyond our circumstance, to laterally think, to shake up our minds. And prayer is one of the mechanisms that brings us to this enlightened space. It works. It works when we connect with it. In order to go into prayer, I'm just going to ask everyone to allow ourselves to take a breath in. And let's enter into the space where neshama, our soul, is connected to this concept of breath.
Oh
I don't know what he is, and I don't know she is. I don't understand what it is. It's that three-letter word that if you're dyslexic, you say dog, which I think have something to do with it. Like when I came home last night, Bella was just, that's my dog, and she was so loving and just so present. And we did bark mitzvahs yesterday at the Abbot Kinney Street Festival. And like my dog was just like so filled with like so much love. Like I'm like, I can't walk you enough. I can't spend enough. I can't give you enough belly rubs to say thank you for what you give me. And I really think that that's like a grand metaphor for those of us who have non-problematic dogs, Nikki. So I want us to all kind of take a moment to define what this is for us. And tradition is very, very, very clear in where it's going to bring us. But first, to have a comfortable definition, we're a God-optional community. And by God-optional, it doesn't mean that there's just a blank. It's a fill in the blank. And being able to twist and torque all of these concepts we've inherited, whether it's negative theology of Maimonides, you cannot prove there's a God, therefore you cannot say there is not a God. Or if it's a Martin Buber-esque I, thou, I experience God in the in-between. Or if it's a concept of more Capellanian, these are the hands of God, it's the power that causes redemption in my world. Whatever it is that we're relating to, that's a really good kind of linchpin to start with. But then we have to kind of move on, yes? Heshbon HaNefesh, which are these attributes of godliness, which comes a little bit from Harold Schulweiss's predicate theology, that it's not so much God as a noun, but God as an activity or an adverb, a description of an activity. And it's through these activities that we are able perhaps to apprehend something greater than ourselves. So the questions I ask, and this is kind of the connection of the work of the day of tshuva into a godliness of self, there's actually a system we can go through. It's called Heshbon HaNefesh, and that is an accounting of the soul. So we said, awaken my soul. Now we have an accounting of the soul. And to ask which midah, just choose one, are we going to work on this high holidays? Is it calmness, temperance, truth, modesty, generosity, deliberation, separation, trust, silence? It could be an attribute beyond the suggested list that I gave. But for us to kind of choose one as an accompanying factor of what we're working through this time of year, for me, it was so clear that mine is savlanut, it's patience this year. And it works itself out to when someone is very slowly driving on Dale Avenue in front of me. And instead of me thinking, God, I just need to get out of here, I think, oh, they probably have never seen this before. Isn't it pretty where I live? Right? To really have patience and allow that patience to then turn into compassion. I'm just modeling that because we each can choose one and make it a spiritual practice that we have every day as we turn through. Keep going. So Maimonides says, know that all such religious acts as reading the law, prayer, and performance of all the other precepts serve exclusively as the means of causing us to occupy and fill our mind with the precepts of God and free it from worldly business, for we are thus, as it were, occupied with God and not with that which is other than God. So according to Maimonides and Guide for the Perplexed, everything is God. And if you go, I'm going to move quickly through this system. We gave this at Shabbat in September. The idea of cybernetics, which is a science of communication, automatic control systems. It gets very heady, but the really sum total of what I'm trying to say is that it is a behavioral self-regulation system that we are bringing ourselves to. I introduced this concept before, and that inside of each of us, we have the ability to self-regulate through the very part of our brains that brings in the spirit as well. And so for us to have, move forward, Matteo, a self-regulatory system of choosing one midah that's going to be a behavior that we're going to say is going to be the switch through which we refract everything right now in our lives, it will help everything else fall into place. The idea behind the high holidays is to better our self-regulation, our self-knowing. And I want to remind us that we have systems to get there. And Cheshbon HaNefesh is a system. And Maimonides dates way back, and he was a scientist, and he knew it 1,000 years ago, right? So let's kind of capture what is our kavana for the day. This is another time that we can say, I'm going to complete the circuit. I'm going to have this kind of feedback mechanism to allow myself to move through this holiday with intention. If you want to write it down to make it real, to name it is to tame it, you can write it down right now in your journal. If we want to state it to our loved ones and just whisper what that word is for accountability, whatever it might be dropping in deeply for a personal meditation. But let's start, now that we've awakened our souls a little bit, to awaken the personal journey as well. We move forward. We still got this dude in the field. The king is in the field. So we go through all these metaphors of what a concept of God might be, and yet we still have to emerge reconciling with our anthropomorphic God that we are given on this day. And this anthropomorphic God concept is one that comes to us as a melech, not a malka, as a masculine. It comes as this idea of a human being, and it is in a field. So whether it's the way that we interact with the earth, perhaps, whether it is this idea of a human visitation, I want us to have like an intimacy with this, and what might it mean? Allow ourselves to dream. Is there a patriarch that once existed who's going to come and visit us today? Is there a message that we need to get? I'm not going to struggle with this today as a third wave feminist. I'm going to be chill with it. I'm going to say, okay, how can this teach me? Let me be curious. And with that, I want to invite us, and Josh, we're going to have our grand entrance into prayer. You're going to hear a lot less from me. Some people are very happy about that. We're going to have this grand entrance into prayer with HaMelech. I want to point out as we go there that this is a beautiful field that should be a glacier. This is in Greenland, and this is our world, and this is the truth. And I want to ask, is the king in the field? Can we get that king in this field? Please rise. Mateo, take it one. Thank you.
Yalla lie lie lie, 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 yalla lie lie lie. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayers? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yalla lie lie lie, yalla lie lie lie, yalla lie lie lie, yalla lie lie lie. Yalla lie lie lie,
Every day, let's read it together. I am still looking for God, and I'm still finding him everywhere. In the dust, in the flower beds, certainly in the oceans, in the islands that lay in the distance, continents of ice, countries of sand, each with its own set of creatures, and God by whatever name. How perfect to be aboard a ship with maybe 100 years still in my pocket, but it's late for all of us. And in truth, the only ship there is the ship we are all on, burning the world as we go.
Amalta Aleinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Ba'avor Avoteinu ve'imotenu, Batu Becha, Shebatu Becha, Avinu Malkeinu, Vatzem Lamteinu Bechai,
Please take this moment to find a space inside. This is the telescope into the soul moment, to try and enter that space. Shema space could be a place of embrace with our children or our loved ones. It could be a place that we could spend an eternity in. Please find that space and listen.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בעם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך And you must love the one, your God, with your whole heart. Read together. With every breath, with all you have. Take these words that I command to you now to heart. Teach them intently to your children. Speak of them when you sit inside your house or walk upon the road, and when you lie down and when you rise, and bind them as a sign upon your hand, and keep them visible before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. This is Yom HaZikaron. It's a time of memory. And the miracle of the Mi Chamocha prayer is a reminder, an eternal reminder of the Exodus, the grand Exodus that we will all make someday. And there's something perhaps through imagination or thought waiting. But for Mi Chamocha and Yom HaZikaron, I'd like to think it's one of those miraculous prayers that we pull back the curtain with and walk through the miracle of life and beyond.
Love of mine, someday you will die, but I'll be close behind. I'll follow you into the dark. No blinding lights or tunnels to gates of white, just our hands clasped so tight, waiting for a hint of a spark. If heaven and hell decide that they both are satisfied, illuminate the notes on their vacancy signs. There's no one beside you when your soul embarks. I'll follow you into the dark. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele. Heaven and hell decide that they both are satisfied. Illuminate the nose on their vacancy signs. There's no one beside you when your soul embarks. I'll follow you into the dark. You and me, we've seen everything to see, from Bangkok to Calgary. And the soles of your shoes are all worn down. The time for sleep is now, but it's nothing to cry about, 'cause we'll hold each other soon in the blackest of rooms. If heaven and hell decide that they both are satisfied, illuminate the nose on their vacancy signs. There's no one beside you when your soul embarks. And I'll follow you into the dark. I'll follow you into the dark.
If we can do so comfortably, please rise. So Yisrael,
Uma be'ezrat Yisrael, u'teichenu mecha, Yehuda ve'Yisrael. Go aleinu, Adonai tzevaot shemo, Kedosh Yisrael. Baruch ata Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael.
we enter into the Amidah, the standing prayer, with great fear and trembling, because the prayer for the Amim Noraim on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur include a prayer where we are facing the dark. The Kedushat Hayom, the prayer prescribed for the day, is a prayer that distinguishes it from all other days. It is the ultimate prayer of judgment. And so what we do is we transform our ritual space into a demi-courtroom. Right now, I'm going to invite Leonard Atlas up, because he is Atlas and he can carry things for long periods of time. So please, we remain standing if we could do so comfortably, with the caveat, if you need to sit, please do, as we take the Torah from its resting place. And remain standing for the Amidah. Mateo, will you please? Whether we're on the playa, keep going, Mateo, on the playa, Point Magoo, or the beautiful Kotel, wherever we may be standing, or right here. We stand before our truths and ourselves.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לישני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות ומידו מלך, מלך מימיתו מחיי ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים.
We remain standing, if we can do so comfortably, because it's at this time that we're acknowledging what is perhaps the essence of the time and the day. We say that we turn memory into a play of what will become in our lives or what came before our lives. But really, the essence of the holiday is to be remembered by a God concept, by a God, to be remembered and chosen and written through the merits of our life inside a book of life. The Unetane Tokef prayer is the prayer of the Kedushat Hayom. It's the essence of this day of judgment, of who will live and who will die, and it has quite a curious past. It's credited from Or Zarua, a 11th or 12th century text. This text comes from Vienna, and this text speaks of a Rabbi Amnon who lived in Mainz, which is somewhere in Northern Europe, and he decided that he was not going to take the offer from the local bishop and convert to Christianity, which was a popular thing to do during the time of the Crusades. And so he said, I desist, I will not do it. And then the bishop pleaded, and finally Rabbi Amnon said, okay, give me 3 days. And of the 3 days that he went home, Rabbi Amnon, our legend tells us, toiled and prayed. And as he toiled and prayed, he said, you know, I cannot in my heart leave this thing called Judaism, despite what is being asked of me to do, despite the threat of my life. So I will go back to my dear friend, because he was friends with the bishop, and I will tell him to take my tongue as penance for my sin of promising something that I'm not going to deliver on. And so he goes back to the bishop, and the bishop quite freakily says, I'm not going to take your tongue, but I'm going to take your legs. And he chopped off his 2 legs. This is when the legend becomes Monty Python. And he chops off his 2 legs, and he says, no, no. And the bishop says, yes. And now you could go forward, Matteo. I'm going to take your fingers as well, so you can't write that Torah. And he takes his fingers, and he puts them on a shield, the legend tells us. And I always wonder why a shield, but it's a shield. He lays what's left of his body on a shield, and he has Rabbi Amnon carried home to his home, where he sits and he prays. And we're told that in his prayers, he wrote a prayer called the Unetane Tokef, a prayer that pleads for life and recognizes death. And from there, he's asked, because he finds out it's Rosh Hashanah, and he asks if he could be brought to the synagogue. So again, they take the shield, and they bring Rabbi Amnon to the synagogue, and they place him right down before the Kehillah. And these words come out of his mouth, and they go up to heaven, and as everyone is astonished by them, he disappears. Whew. Isn't that a legend? Crazy, right? But it gets crazier, because then we're told that a Rabbi Colonimus receives it in a dream, and it was all but lost because the people that were there didn't record it down. And that Colonimus, Meshula Colonimus, receives it in a dream and wakes up in the middle of night and writes Unetane Tokef as a prayer. And this is all like the 13th century. But wait, When they found the Cairo about 70 years ago, they found, dated back through carbon dating, an 8th century copy of the prayer, "Ballaloo, ballaloo, ballaloo," which goes to show you about this incredibly mysterious and adaptive religion that folds through time and space and geographies, but all unifies us and forces us to coalesce in our grand equalizing humanity, which is our mortality. Everyone here was born, and everyone here will die. And this is the essence of community, which is making life worthwhile, making this earth a blessing so that our children will have this privilege as well. We read together, "Let us ask ourselves hard questions, for this is a time for truth. Did we fill our days with life, or were they dull and empty? Was there love inside our home, or was the affectionate word left unsaid? Was there a real companionship with our children, or was there a living together and a growing apart? Were we a help to our mates, or did we take them for granted? How was it with our friends? Were we there when they needed us or not? The kind deed, did we perform it or postpone it? Did we live right? And if not, then have we learned, and will we change? Now we declare the sacred power of this day, which is the most awesome and solemn of days, when your rule is established over all, and your throne set in place by the power of love, and you come forth to govern in truth. It is you who shall write, you who shall seal what is written, and who shall read, and who shall number all souls."
מלכותך ניכון בחסד כיסאך ותשב עליו באמת ותשב עליו באמת אמת כי אתה הוא דיין מוכיח ויודע בהן וכותב וחותם וסופר ומונה ותזכור כל הנשכחות ותפתח את ספר הזיכרונות ומעליו יקרא וחותם יד כל אדם בו ובשופר גדול יתקע וקול דממה דקה יישמע ומלאכים יחפזון וכינורי עדה יוחזון ומלאכים יחפזון וכינורי עדה יוחזון ובשופר גדול יתקע וקול דממה דקה יישמע ומלאכים יחפזון וכינורי עדה יוחזון ומלאכים יחפזון וכינורי עדה יוחזון.
And all who come into the world pass before you like sheep, for the shepherd For just as a shepherd numbers the flock, passing the herd by the staff, so do you make us pass by before you, and number and count and determine the life, one by one, of all who have life breath within. You decide for each creature its cycles of life and write down its destined decree.
Place where I can go to take this off my shoulders. Someone take me home. Home, place where I can go to take this off my shoulders. Someone take me home.
Yeah.
Someone take me.
When you let your old self die, how will you go? Or when you let your new self fly, how will you know? Which form of transmutation will you take on? Which element will you see through? Until the next stop said, who by fire and who by water? Who in the sunshine, who in the nighttime? Or who by high ordeal, or who by common trial? Who in the merry, merry month of May is slow decay? I see the people in the avalanche's powder. Who in the realms of love, how about some in this hour? Who for his greed and who for his hunger? Or who by brave sensei, who by accident? Who in the solitude, who's staring in the mirror? Who go by his lady's command, who's never been clearer? See, it's we're all just here in these mortal chains. Who in power, who is calling? Yo, tell him what we know to be saying.
How did all my dreams turn to nightmares? How did I lose it when I was right there? Now I'm so far that it feels like it's all gone to pieces. Tell me why the world never might spare.
A place where I can go to take this off my shoulders. Someone take me home. Someone take me
Home, a place where I can go to take this off my shoulders. Someone take me home. Someone take me. Rosh Hashanah, Yikatevon, Ubiyom Sakipor, Ubiyom Sakipor, Yechatemun. Rosh Hashanah, Yikatevon, Ubiyom Sakipor, Ubiyom Sakipor, Yechatemun.
Yo, we got mass migrations in these climates changing. I'm changing the climate on issues and
violence that we're facing. The migrating wave from mass hypnotics and tyrants in vain. Selling a tonic of phonics to heal what our brain. Here to speak action into words. You see, I give courage to the people, and it's all in the verbs. We're really reading off a sheet is kind of absurd, because in this street we feel the heat. Now I'm bound to be heard, and now do you have the ears to hear, or are you listening? Not all that shimmers is gold, oh, not glistening. And if you see the love inside of you, then you can wipe away the veil of Maya and see in truth. See all the conditioning and programming and put before us. We're just walking through, but we're blinded by the forest. I'm gonna say just run, Forrest, run, because you can do this shit if you find your inner son, if you find your inner God. Not praying up to the sky, look and pray and meditate and find your own eye. You see, you got two, we're looking at the physical, but the third one is here and it sees the metaphysical. What's the metaphysical for anyway? To know that there's a land beyond this physical place. Where do we go? Are we still scared of death? Read autobiography of Yogi, who knows what's next?
Rosh Hashanah, Yikaterun, Uviyom Som Kippur, Uviyom Som Kippur, Yechatemun. Rosh Hashanah, Yikaterun, Uviyom Som Kippur, Uviyom Som Kippur, Yechatemun. Home, a place where I can go to take this off my shoulders. Someone take me home. Home, a place where I can go to take this off my shoulders. Someone take me home. Someone take me. Rosh Hashanah, Yikaterun, Uviyom Som Kippur, Uviyom Som Kippur, Yechatemun. Rosh Hashanah, Yikaterun.
Tapeinu Avinu Malkeinu Kale Dever Vecherev Rav Me'alenu Avinu Malkeinu Kale Kotzon Umasi Me'aleinu Avinu Malkeinu Avinu Malkeinu Kotvenu B'Sefer Chaim Tovim Avinu Malkeinu Chodei Shalenu Chodei Shalenu Shana Tova Avinu Malkeinu Avinu Malkeinu Chodesh Alenu Shana Tova Avinu Malkeinu Shema Koleinu Shema Koleinu Shema Koleinu
Avinu Malkeinu, Onenu Vaneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Onenu Vaneinu, V'en banu masim. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed, v'moshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Onenu Vaneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Onenu Vaneinu, V'en banu masim. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed, v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Onenu Vaneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Onenu Vaneinu, V'en banu masim.
How are we doing? Yeah. Are we in something? Yeah. We're changing the Torah portion of Rosh Hashanah. I'm being Kaplanian. Mordecai Kaplan, a 20th century mental giant, suggested that on Rosh Hashanah, it's actually a human imperative to read of creation, to understand of this world. And so we've taken his advice, and we're reading of creation today. I hope our prayers and Unetane Tokef and Avinu Malkeinu have all deepened our understanding of our place on this earth. And now we're going to step into the legends of the creation of this earth. Mateo. Josh.
Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai, v'ein k'ma'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha b'chol dor
Shalom, av harachamim, hitiv v'tzoncha et Zion, tifneh et Yerushalayim, tibeneh hamot Yerushalayim, ki v'chol levad v'tovnu.
This is our Torah. Open Temple Torah. Bought by eBay. By my husband when I was graduating rabbinical school. That's how a rabbinical student knows you've met the man you're supposed to marry. We stand before our Torah, and this is a formal bow. And as we bow before our Torah, it's not avodat zarah, it's not idol worship. I'd like us to think that we're bowing into the commitment we take to be curious about the words that came before us that unify us as a people. We're told something happened at Sinai, Mount Sinai, that rogue peninsula in the Mediterranean. Something happened there thousands of years ago, and we're here doing this today because something happened there. And this Torah tries to explain it. And so, continue, Josh.
Ibn Son Haron, Vayomer Moshe, Kuma Adonai, Veyachutzu Oivecha, Veyanusu Misanecha, Mipanecha, Ki Mitzion Teitzei Torah.
Torah, Torah, Baruch Shem Torah, Torah, Le'amo Yisrael, B'kedushato.
Emeritus Nikki, young Lebo, and Dave Lebo, her husband. We're going to have whichever one of you want to hold the Torah. And I'm going to have you now stand over here and kind of treat out, just over here, over here, over here. Thank you. This is actually a moment where our liturgy changes, and the liturgy changes to bring in the presence of a God concept that is perhaps the most descriptive one we receive in the entire Torah. And it's upon this memory that today has really been scribed. It's the idea that the God character, upon us actually committing the sin of avodat zarah, of idolatry, decided that in his great ire, he could be convinced by Moses to be contrite. And instead of destroying a people that were created, our legend teaches us, God revealed God's self through these 13 attributes. The attributes of compassion, of mightiness, of chen, which is indescribable. We say grace. Slow to anger, ostentatiously loving. These attributes are the attributes of what's required of us as parents when our children infuriate us to switch that 180 and become these attributes. And so we stand as a community of seekers, and we have the 13 attributes. Please rise.
Adonai.
Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed V'Emet, Notzer Chesed La'alafim, Nosei Avon V'Fesha, V'Chata B'Nakeh. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Now we repeat it. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. And the next one is there.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Kadosh Shema,
Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh v'nora Shemo.
Gadol Adonai iti, uneromemo Shemo yachdav.
Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu ve'yarkocho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu ve'yarkocho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu ve'yarkocho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu ve'yarkocho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu ve'yarkocho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu ve'yarkocho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu.
Lisa, thank you. Go here. Help me undress it. Got it. Excellent. Thanks. Please be seated. At long last, please be seated. You're good to go after we get it done. Can you help me lift it here? Just lift the bottom so I can do this. Excellent. Excellent. That's there. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Check-in time. Check-in. How are we doing? People hungry? Little spilkus? We've got like an honest hour left, guys. We're good? You could be somewhere else. We're good. Okay. All right. So this is our Torah portion, and this is what we're getting for. Raphael, you'll be the first reader if you're here. I want us to be prepared. There's really an idea. Right now, everyone's reading about Hagar and Yishmael, and probably they're talking about ICE and indignity to immigrants. And while I think all of that is so imperative and important, not to be political, I had the troubling experience of visiting the swamp and the jails of Joe Arpaio in 2010 under a former administration, and he was keeping people in cages then. So I had the unfortunate information of knowing that people have been kept in cages for a while in our country. It's nothing new. So Hagar and Yishmael in that story is important. Or they might be switching it out to the Akedah and the binding of Isaac like we did last year. And I think that that story of how children are sacrificed for the ideologies of parents is a really important one as well. But we're not reading that this year either. What we're reading this year is this concept of creation itself, because I think we're a creative community, and I think all of us seek to harness the expressions of Haboreh, the God quality that is the creator. And I think as we gather here today, what better way to truly harness it but to deep dive in these first words of what is perhaps the most famous creation story that our earth has inherited. In it, I want us to be able to struggle with these ideas and look also with curiosity at the correlatives that people postulate. For example, Genesis and the Big Bang, the discovery of harmony between modern science and the Bible. Gerald Schroeder is an admittedly Orthodox man who is also a scientist. And in his book, because he is Orthodox, he tries to reconcile his faith with his science. And the book has some compelling ideas. It's quite dense. He is a scientist. But at its essence, he really gives ideas like the Big Bang, which may or may not have happened 13.1 billion years ago. You always got to check up on that science because they're always changing time, but I guess time folds and time is relative anyway. So what's a few billion years, give or take? And he really invites us into a metaphoric, imaginary exploration of what might it mean to not constantly be at battle with science and religion,
not to give religion a bad name, not to give science a bad name, but to merely try and reconcile it in a harmonious mind that is curious about this natural world and tries to use the metaphors actually that we gain through science, because we always know that science has a thesis that turns into an antithesis, whether it's Ptolemy to Copernicus to Galileo. We're always kind of advancing as well. I'm always amazed that the atom was discovered, but in 1897. We know more than scientists did 200 years ago, arguably, by the time we're in 11th grade. So there's this amazing fascination of knowledge and how the origins of knowledge develop. And Genesis encapsulates all of it. And I'm hoping we can kind of drop into our earth consciousness through this reading today and emerge with a better grasp on how this holiday, which connects us to the seasons and connects us to a prayer that we want an outcome of a more fecund and ripe world to kind of move through us. And so with that, we invite up for the first Aliyah. Can you go back, just Matteo? We invite up anyone generating a creative journey, creating ex nihilo, creating from nothing. Any of you are invited up as the first Aliyah, and beautiful Rafaela and Shira. Wow, that Avinu Malkeinu. Take that, God. That was beautiful. So please come up as our Torah reader and our Aliyot. And anyone who feels that, you're in. Anyone who feels it, like you're creating something from nothing, like Open Temple, will be the first Aliyah. So here we go. Here's your... Oh, you're doing the first one? Okay, great. So it's the opposite. Oh, that's great. It's right here. I brought a, but you can use that if you want to. Oh, look, it's backwards. Can we pick it up? I'm gonna, okay. Here we go. And look how before the beginning there was nothing. Isn't that interesting? Would that make us dualists? Anyway, anyone get that joke? I'll skip over it. Okay. Does anyone have the yod? Oh, Zach does. Okay, great. So let's go. You want to hold right here for your friend? Great. And we're going to say the bracha first. So go forward, Matteo. We say it in Achad, Shtaim, Shalosh. It's right there. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai, noten ha'Torah. Amen.
Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim v'et ha'aretz, v'ha'aretz v'hita tohu uveinu, v'hoshech al panei Chom v'ruach Elohim merachapet al panei hamayim v'yomer Elohim yi or
Vayehi or. Just kiss right over here. It's right there. 1, 2, 3. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chaye olam nata betochenu, Baruch atah Adonai, noten ha'Torah. Does anyone want to name their creation?
Happy Spirit.
Happy Spirit.
India.
India. Foundation. Secret Yoga for Moms. Open Temple.
Open Temple.
Woo. Art, music. Love, family, joy, growing. We are creating poetry, stories. Amen, amen. Yes, you are guests to sit down. Thank you. That was beautiful. All right, for our second one, let's go. Here we go. So we have our second, no, go, you have to go forward. There we go, second Aliyah. Name that pop culture reference to the 1990s, not the 80s, the 90s. Yeah, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, right? So here we are, we're like moving, we went from creation and a big bang to this concept of good and evil. Because it's upon that scale that all of our kind of sum total of our actions are weighed. So we invite up the Open Temple board members who are present and their families. Please, if you are board in the house. Beautiful. So I'll just go right here. All right, you ready? Guys, here, little, to kiss. Anyone? Kiss it? Kiss, there you go. Go in a talit and a chad, shtaim, shalosh. Wait, go forward. Here we go. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah. Et ha'or ki tov. Boker yom echad. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chaye olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Say, Board, will you introduce yourself? Awesome. And Lori. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. This is beautiful. Oh, Yeshkoach, you can go down. We're going next Aliyah. All right, anyone here who's new to Open Temple? You're like, eek, I'll help you. I got your back. Is it Carrie? I got your back. I got your back. All right, we're going to do this together. And Robbie's here too? Hi, you're new as well? What's your name? Nicole, okay, come on. All right, we're going to go over here. Come here. All right, I'm going to have you touch the Torah here. Here you go. This is where we're reading. Have a kiss. We need a little sound. Have a kiss of the talit. Kiss of the talit. Ooh, you kissed my finger. Thank you. Here. Thank you. All right. So we're going to go over here and kind of look at so we can see it. Thanks. Just right here. Right. Yeah, there you go. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Vorechu et Adonai hamvorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vayomer Elohim yehi rakia b'toch hamayim v'hi mavdil ben mayim lamayim vayas Elohim et harakia vayavdel ben hamayim asher mitachat larakia uvein hamayim asher me'al larakia vayehi chen. Vayikra Elohim larakia shamayim vayera vayivoker yom sheni.
Continue. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chaye olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Yesher koach. Welcome to Open Temple. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to Open Temple. Yay. Excellent. You're like, oh, I got an aliyah. Yay. This is an important. So we just went through the creation of basically darkness and light. It's like the origins of mystical Manichaeism come there, the forces of light and darkness. And so I wanted us to start dipping a little bit into the darkness and asking everyone if we have little postcards. Do people have their postcards? We're going to do an exercise right now in honor of the second Aliyah, which, and
and the third aliyah, sorry, that talk about light and dark and the second day of creation. And for us to kind of leave a little darkness on a card. So the cards are for us to write our chetim, our transgressions. There's a prayer on Yom Kippur that we're going to visit in about 10 days from now called the Al Chet. And I'm really curious to have anonymous collection of our collective transgressions. That's what we're being asked to do today. How's that sound? Oof, right? Oy vey. I wrote mine. And then I'd really like to collect these. So you can work on those, and we'll move on to the next aliyah. Be judged now. All right, our fourth aliyah is, again, that imperative breaking through the asphalt. Our Torah reader is cantorial student Josh Goldberg, and we're going to invite up those who are nurturing and cultivating young and new life. So which of us are cultivating young and new life? Please come up. Young and new life, that's my husband. Young and new life, anyone? Yeah. Young and new life, young and new life, yeah. Young and new life, yes. Yes, yes, indeed. That's you, Jackson's mama. Yeah. Okay. What's your young and new life?
What's my young and new life? Pharrell and Golda.
And
Jackson
and Madison. Yes.
Ethan and Nate.
Nate. Anyone else? We're cultivating young and new life. Okay, great. So we do the aliyah. It's over here. Show me where we're reading. Right here. Great. If you want to kiss the talit or wear one, you go ahead. Here you go. It's a ritual moment. We love that. Echad, shtayim, shalosh. Borechu et Adonai hamvorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim venatan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vayomer Elohim, yikavu hamayim, mitachat hashamayim el hamakom echad, v'tere'a v'hayabasha, vayhi chen, vayikra Elohim layabasha eretz, umikave hamayim kara yamim, vayar Elohim ki tov, vayomer Elohim, Tatshe haaretz deshe esev mizriya zera eitz peri ose peri lemino asher zar ovo al haaretz vayhi chen vatotze haaretz deshe eshev mizriya zera leminehu ve'etz otze peri asher zar uvo leminehu vayar Elohim ki tov
Vayehi erev vayehi boker yom shlishi. We got through 3 days. How are we doing? Thousands of years of creation, right? Billions of years. So from there, we just got to like the first kind of sprouts of plant life bursting through. And whether it's a child that we're bringing into this world, or it's that first kind of epiphany of an idea, this is, again, a theme, I'm going to say it again, a fecundity of our Rosh Hashanah. This idea that there can be new innovations created. There could be new ways of doing, new behavioral systems that we integrate into ourselves. These are the first sprouts coming forward of a new turn to return. We read together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Thank you, creators of new life. Love, love. All right, we continue on.
we're going to read a prayer for our country. We're going to read a prayer for our country. We're going to rise. We're going to rise. I'm going to put my right hand on my heart, which I don't do anymore, but I'm going to do, meaning I don't have a Pledge of Allegiance to say every day. But I want us to rise for our country because we are our country people, and we are Americans, and this is still the greatest experiment, I think, since perhaps the innovation of ancient Israel. So let us pray for our country together. A prayer for our country. We live in a great experiment with an expanse that privileges our minds to endless visions. Our freedom is our inheritance brought to us by our ancestors and afforded by the generosity of the seas which protect us, as the highest of mountains drive ambition to reach the sky. Our land is diverse and rich, delivering bounties for all of our needs. We want for nothing. May we feel the call to care for this land and its inhabitants. May the civilization that we put forth on this land continue to reflect the greatest of human potential. And may each and every one of us here today take responsibility for our place in this land as spiritual beings, as families, as local citizens, as participants in state and country. And may we embody our prayer through our every encounter. And let us say, Amen. Our fifth aliyah, our Torah reader, I think is Jesse. Is he coming in? Yeah, you're here? Jesse, way to go. You made it. Fantastic. Jesse is a new teacher at the Creative Torah Academy. How's it going downstairs?
Great.
Children still breathing?
Yes.
Awesome. Excellent. All right, so let's come up. We're going to invite up anyone who's moving from a time of darkness into light. And you can sit down there early if you want to hang out. That's fun too. Anyone who is moving from a time of darkness into light. Anyone who wants to leave something in 5779 and stake claim in the transformation of 5780. Please come forward. Please come forward. Thank you. We'll take these. Yeah. Liz, I'm going to have you in a second collect the cards if that's possible. Yeah? Is that good? Okay. After the Saliyah. Okay. Let's say the blessing together. Oh, if we kind of make part the Red Sea and make it so we can read. We've got to conquer the darkness. Okay, we'll do the first one. We'll get better for the second one. Let's go. Echad, shtaim. Oh, wait, where are we reading from? Here we are? Great. Echad, shtaim, shalosh. Borechu et Adonai hamvorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. Venatan lanu et Torato, Baruch ata Adonai, noten haTorah. Vayi voker yom revi'i. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet V'chaye olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Awesome. We left it there and you give us that light. That is, I think that's like my favorite, most jazziest day, because it's the day that really proves like that we created with uncertainty and mystery. Because the very first day we read of this bang, right? Vayehi or, let there be light, right? But there we were on the fourth day, and it was the creation of the sun and the moon and the stars. So the rabbis ask, like, what was that first light? And they come to answer it. They call it the Or HaGanuz, the light hidden inside of each of us and inside of the Torah. It's a beautiful light. It's the light we seek. All right, let us keep going. We're going to read again. Go on. There we go. We're going to get to a maftir. We're going to get to a maftir. Can you just take it back? We're going to get the maftir coming forward. Where is Joel? We're going to have you read the maftir. So there's a sixth day. As he's getting ready for the maftir, I decided that the sixth reading, because there are 6 readings on Rosh Hashanah, was going to be a little demi-discussion of the sixth day. And people could be seated if they want to, but if you need to stand, I understand. We're like chill that way. A little bit of progressive education at Open Temple. It's this idea of the sixth day, and the sixth day has like a really important concept behind it. There's a teaching in Bereshit Rabbah, in the Midrash, of Adam being chastened by God. And God says something to the effect of, be cautious with this world, because it was created for you, and you are to command over it. You must be cautious in your care of it, lest it not exist anymore. So there was awareness even during the ancient times of the rabbis understanding our role on this earth, our ability to create, and our ability to destroy. And that sixth day is really the creation of all creatures. It's not just humans. So it reminds us, for those of us who are vegan, and this is my shout out to you, Ian, what's the name of your cheese company? What is it called? Misha's? Of course it is. That's your son. So he has a vegan cheese company, right? It's so good, right? So he creates it. So, yeah. So he creates, and so the idea behind it, he's a vegan and he's very active in his veganism, and the idea behind it is truly this love for all creatures and this deep respect for all of living things. And that's really the kind of amazing innovation. The rabbis didn't separate out the creation of animals from humans on the sixth day. We Dafka made it in our storytelling tradition that we were all created together, which really kind of implores us to go to a place of this sustainability and this curiosity of the sanctity of all life. It's a beautiful teaching that we are created on the same day of all living things. And with that, we get to the maftir. And the maftir is one of 2 places. It's from Parshat Pinchas, and it's from one of 2 places that we learn of Rosh Hashanah. And so with it, we have our Dr. Joel Shapiro, and we're going to call up, can you go back one more time, Mateo? We call up anyone who's moving from, we did that already? Time of light to darkness? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm redundant. Why don't we call anyone up who is literally healing from something, like a physical healing? I want to honor and name that big time. A physical healing. Yeah. And may we, through the zechut of the Aliyah, work through this physical healing. Let's move into the blessing. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach. Go back to. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach. Baruch Adonai hamvarach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Forward to Mateo. Okay, great. You have to read now. Go ahead. Amen.
Amen.
Uvechodesh hashvi'i, on the first day of the 7th month.
We meet in Venice, California. in the year 5780. The 80s are back. In the 80s, I was active in Physicians for Social Responsibility. And so today, I feel responsible as a physician who has turned his medical practice into a practice of healing the earth. Climate change is a disease. It is the greatest public health risk in the world. Who can say how many millions will die in this century? We are already seeing its impact in mass migrations and species extinction. On this day of Rosh Hashanah, the new year of the earth, we must ask ourselves,
What is our responsibility?
My message is that we'll be watching you. This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood.
People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction. And all you can talk about is money and fairy tales and eternal economic growth. How dare you? For more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear. How dare you continue to look away when you're saying you're doing it? But the politics and the solutions needed are still nowhere in sight. You say you hear us and that you understand the urgency, but no matter how sad and angry I am, I do not want to believe that. Because if you really understood the situation and still kept on failing to act, then you would be evil, and that I refuse to believe.
The popular idea of cutting our emissions in half in 10 years only gives us a 50% chance of staying below 1.5 degrees Celsius and the risk of setting off irreversible chain reactions beyond human control.
50% may be acceptable to you, but those numbers do not include tipping points, most feedback loops, additional warming hidden by toxic air pollution, or the aspects of equity and climate justice.
They also rely on my generation sucking hundreds of billions of tons out of our CO2 with technologies that barely exist. So a 50% risk is simply not acceptable to us. We have to live with the consequences.
How dare you pretend that this can be solved with just business as usual and some technical solutions?
With today's emission levels, that remaining CO2 budget will be entirely gone within less than 8.5 years.
There will not be any solutions or plans presented in line with these figures here today because these numbers are all too uncomfortable. And you are still not mature enough to tell it like it is. You are failing us, but the young people are starting to understand your betrayal. The eyes of all future generations are upon us.
And if you choose to fail us, I say we will never forgive you.
We will not let you get away with this.
Right here, right now, is where we draw the line.
The world is waking up and change is coming whether you like it or not.
I invite the parents of these children to come up. I want to offer a Misha Berach to them for the future they are inheriting and perhaps the future trials that they will have because of the world they are inheriting. I want to name it. I want to name the environmental hazards working their way into the food sources. I want to name the toxins and carcinogens in our water and air. I want to name the illnesses that are perilously awaiting a rising generation
because we haven't done our work. I have children too. They sweetly stayed with a babysitter today so I could be here for all of you. But I say this prayer for them as well. Let us have a Misha Berach for all in need of healing and for our children's future, that the earth should be healed, lest they need to.
Elna Refanala Refanalanu Elna Refanala Refanalanu Dear God of our ancestors, help us renew our faith.
Help us renew our faith.
Grant us a perfect healing.
Grant us a perfect healing.
Bring peace to all our days.
Bring peace to all our days.
El Nare Fanala, Fanala. El Nare Fanala,
Restore our strength of body. Restore our strength of body. Help clarify our mind.
Help clarify our mind.
Refresh our tired spirit. Rejuvenate our life.
Rejuvenate our life. Thank you for all these blessings. Throughout our days and nights, we celebrate the journey.
This precious gift of life.
This precious gift of
Take our hands and we put them on our children's head and look in their eyes. Elna, Refana, La, Refana Lo, Refana Lanu. For this aliyah, we can all consider ourselves up. We're going to close it with a Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chaye olam nata betochenu Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah. Give them a kiss and send them out so we can finish our service. We love them. Go, be free. So we're almost there at the home stretch.
It's really that last fun little ride around the roller coaster before we get off and say, let's do it again, right? Next week at Yom Kippur. We're entering into the last moments called Musaf. Just know that if you were at any other synagogue that's observant in the world, you would have about 3.5 hours to go of standing. But at Open Temple, we'll be out of here in about 25 minutes. Not to put a time on it, because we are in a liminal space where there is no time, but this observance of Musaf, I've decided, is really the essence of the day. It captures the concept of what we said here, Yom Harat HaOlam, and it explores the concept of the birth of the earth through the lens of Malchut, this Malchuyot, which is the idea of sovereignty, idea of godliness and agency, Zichronot, the idea of us desiring to be remembered through those beautiful Uvachen prayers of asking God to remember us, but also in us remembering those who came before us, because there's something godly about an ancestral constellation. And then the shofarot, the final tremulous sound awakening us to what we've got to do. There's a beautiful teaching of the rabbis where they talk about, and I said this last night, so forgive me, you guys, but they talk about, when you start tshuva, and those rabbis, they all try and one-up one another, so they're like, oh, one guy came in and said, I just started today, it's Rosh Hashanah, and the other guy went, well, I did start at the beginning of Elul, so I've got it down. And then the third rabbi said, oh, yes? Well, I started my tshuva process at the moment I heard the shofar cry at the end of Ne'ilah, at the end ceremony of Yom Kippur. And I think for us to live our lives with that immediacy of not waiting to rectify what is incorrect, not even making any kind of rationalization of correct or incorrect, get rid of the politically incorrect. If you read the article next week, you'll see that I'm trying to get rid of the politically correct. I dare say, Rabbi Lori becomes a little neoconservative in the article. No, I'm just, but I'm trying to bring a balance back, and we'll talk more about it on Yom Kippur, but this is the time where we're tearing into the place of judgment and a healthy sense of judgment. I say with full humility about parenting, our children don't need to get everything. Our children, when they say they don't like something, it's not for us to figure it out for them. It's for them to become steely and resilient and to self-regulate through trials, and for us not to be parents that try and fix everything. Because really what happens is we get a political system like we do today where everyone just wants their own way. So we all need to be very careful on both sides, liberal, conservative, however we identify. We need to bring back this resilience of an individual's character to withstand any discomfiture that comes our way, even Musaf. That was a joke. All right. So with that, there are some things that we need to do together. We're going to start with a reading to put our cups on right. Let's read together. We're going to go through the Torah. Come 1, 2, go through. Mateo, that's you. 1, 2, keep going. Okay, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna put our Torah away. Sweet, back one. Oh, we'll stay here. Stay, Mateo. Okay, so I'm doing this for time's sake because I am someone that cares. So I'm leaping us into what is the Musaf. We're saying goodnight to Torah. Say goodnight, Torah. We'll see you on Yom Kippur. We love you so. If we were a really righteous community, we'd be back on Shabbat Shuvah. But some of us have soccer. We're figuring it out. Open Temple will find a way to do a Saturday observant in some way. And I'd like to, will someone help me? We'll put yes, Lane, will you? And Kathy, will you? Put the Torah away. Here, one of you over here. And if you want to stand while we're doing this ceremoniously and say V'zot Torah. V'zot Torah. Lifnei b'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai Yad Moshe. Beautiful. Thank you. So we've put it away. Thank you. We say it is a tree of life, and we love you, Torah, so. We love you, Torah, so that we're going to just tuck you in just a little over here. There you go, Torah. There you go. And now I ask everyone to read together. The essence of the Jewish concept of life seems to me to lie in an affirmative attitude to the life of all creation.
The life of the individual has meaning only insofar as it aids in making the life of every living thing nobler and more beautiful. Life is sacred. That is to say, it is the supreme value to which all other values are subordinate. The hollowing of the supra-individual life brings in its train a reverence for everything spiritual, a particularly characteristic feature of the Jewish tradition. But the Jewish tradition also contains something else, something which finds splendid expression in many of the Psalms, namely a sort of intoxicated joy and amazement at the beauty and grandeur of this world, of which we can just form a faint notion. It is the feeling from which true scientific research draws its spiritual sustenance, but which also seems to find expression in the song of the birds. Speaking of which, we invite Shira to teach us about the Grand Aleinu. Those of us who were here last year learned a little bit of different faith traditions, all having prostration experiences. Every tradition has an asana, right? And even indeed, Matteo, in Judaism, we have a chastening of the body, a humility of the spirit through a physical posture. The Musaf begins with the Grand Aleinu. It is really the presence of yoga and a deep kind of downward dog into kind of a full, what is it, chaturanga, but we don't go all the way, halfway down, right? Into a physical humility of the body and the soul. And so I would like to invite anyone up that wants to experience this as a part of the Musaf ride, the cosmic experience through the Musaf cosmos, to please come up and deep dive into this asana with me.
Asanu kegoye ha'aratzot velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol משתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלאכים הקדוש
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, one day, we will be show glory.
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 Whether you see it or not, we're all parts of God. I see you and love you, whether you're acting like a dog. Two sides of the same coin, but how to distinguish between the two? Between identifying as divine and coming back to you. The path becomes exact when it refracts and you come back. Don't act like you don't act, it's all an act, that's just a fact. The stage for us, a place so rough, so let us light be safe. So we can finally clear the dust, and in God we trust, no fake. The phosphorescence lights are just blinding me. I need some sort of fire so that I can get past me. Some former identity of who I used to be. See, it's the idea of our entity that keeps us true in the sanity. And how we identify and where we are. The truest that we know is that it's the I and it's part of a star. Or some collection of dust that has come from some other place. Or it could all be here and we're all just saving face. A good grace, I look to God for the truth inside of my heart. And at the same time I see myself here practicing this art. Letting it free and taking all the risks that I can be. So that I finally can feel for one moment that I could just be. And finally leave something on the ground, it's just profound. I'm compounding all the things that I've learned into some sort of sound. So no luminescence, you put the frequency in water. That comes the light, and that's the Holy Father. Tell him.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure. We will be sure.
To make our lives matter, to make sure we merit a place on this earth and are sustainers of this earth, in addition to understand where in the constellation of being our destiny lies. Who are we? Why are we here? What is running through our DNA? What if we inherited to this day? I sound like Zach, and it's true, but that's not such a bad thing. We're going to hear it to Kia soon, and it's going to ring. Sorry, I couldn't go there. Let's read together. Out of the debris of dying stars, this rain of particles that waters the waste with brightness, the sea wave of atoms hurrying home, collapse of the giant, unstable guest who cannot stay. The sun's heart reddens and expands. His mighty aspiration is lasting. As the shell of his substance one day will be white with frost. In the radiant field of Orion,
Great hordes of stars are forming, just as we see every night, fiery and faithful to the end. Out of the cold and fleeting dust that is never and always, the silence and waste to come. This arm, this hand, my voice, your face, this love.
Everything's a miracle or nothing is. Either we speak truth to our children or raise blinded kids. The world will eventually be what the kids see. See, I'm CCing that Columbus be seen out of history. Feel me? I'm envisioning a future filled with wisdom of the ancients. When you're free to be a mystic using words, no containment. We honor the dead and don't fear to be near them. And listen to the trees because we know that we hear them. When we listen to every religion and see the truth in the teaching, then world peace becomes a notion that's not far-reaching. Because if we take a deeper dive, we find the same thing. Let's build upon the shoulders of giants, keep the main thing the main thing. What we do echoes in eternity. When we hate upon a father, we hold it until paternity. What we learn is what we pass on to the masses yet to come. What we give is how they live, so let's choose love.
Awake, read, awake from your slumber, and rouse yourselves from your lethargy. Scrutinize your deeds and turn in repentance. Remember what is true, you who forget eternal truth in the trifles of the hour. You who go astray all your years after vain illusions that neither profit nor deliver. Look well into yourselves and mend your ways and your actions. Forsake the evil path and unworthy purpose and turn to God. The calls of the shofar we read for untold generations on this day. Ancestors listened to the sound of the shofar. What did they hear in its piercing tones? What solemn truths did they detect in its calls, which stirred them so profoundly each year? And what does the shofar say to us today, as we stand at the dawn of the new year, groping for a light to guide us and a faith to sustain us? Tekiah, keep going, Mateo. Awake, let not habit dull our minds, nor comfort harden our hearts. Examine our deeds, look well into our soul, mend our ways, turn to God. As we hear the sharp Tekiah blast, let us rouse ourselves from smugness and self-satisfaction, from callousness and self-righteousness. Shevarim, the broken refrain. Listen to the staccato cry. Hear the echoes of sighing and weeping. The deprived and the distressed, the neglected and the enslaved, the bruised and the broken, all cry out for relief from their pain, for release from their torment. As we hear the anguished wail of Shevarim, let us
open our ears to the cries of the afflicted and the oppressed, and let our hearts respond with compassion and love. Cherua, the call to battle is sounded. Join the struggle against evil and suffering. Give of your bread to those who are hungry. Give of your strength to those who stumble. Give of your time to those who are lonely and forsaken. Heal the wounded. Comfort the bereaved. Let us hearken to the truest call to action. For in our hands, our hearts, and our minds are the means for building a better world, for fulfilling the promise of peace and justice, and for hastening the day when all will hear the sound of the great shofar of liberation.
Now the world is not over, victory isn't won, but we'll fight on to the finish. And then when it's all done, oh, we'll cry glory, glory, oh, glory, glory, oh, glory, glory. We'll cry glory, glory, oh, glory,
I lost my tequila. No. Do you have it in you? Do you have it in you? Do you have it in you? You have it in you. All right, give it a try. Give it a try. Give it a try. On the spot, but you could do it. You could do it. You could do it, James. You could do it. You could do it. A blessing to you. We ask in Psalm 27, I ask of God one thing, Achat sha'alti me'et Adonai, ote evakesh, shaviti b'veit Adonai, kol yamei chayai, that I dwell in the house of God all the days of my life. As this canopy of stars is a reminder of the infinitude of what lies
above, below, and beyond. May we use the Amim Noraim, the High Holy Days, as a deepening and revelation of understanding of our place and our duty in this universe. Please turn to the person next to you for a final blessing, and I would like us to share with the person that we choose what that blessing is. For 5780, I would like my blessing to be, that's what we can say, and then we give that blessing to one another, and I will offer a Kohanic blessing to all of us as an example of that blessing. I always like making my hands really, really warm so I can put them on a cup like that and give the blessing, right? So, do you have someone giving you a blessing? All right, here we go, Ben Zaretsky. So we go and we say, Yiver, what's the blessing you want?
Just like be my best self.
Be your best self.
You know.
Yeah. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha. May God's light shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May each and every one of us emerge from this experience of Rosh Hashanah with a sense of purpose and a driven inspiration to rectify the stumbling blocks we put before ourselves and our families, and to surmount them as we walk on this path before us, forever paved in peace. And let us all say, Amen. We rise for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשני כל דיי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות אדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, בגורלנו ככל עמונה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו stand as a Kihila Kadosha, a holy community, and there are those that are no longer standing beside us. We take this moment as a community to name them out loud. Who should be standing inside of our lives that is no longer? Who has merely passed on to the eternity that we want to remember? Who do we remember indignantly that they left too soon? And who do we remember with reticence that their leaving left some unresolved emotions? Let us name them now and here. Mel Schneid, Henriette Schneidler, we read together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'alma divrach hirute v'amlich malchute v'chayachon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dekol beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olmei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh v'yittadar v'yittale v'yittalal shemei dekudasha b'reichu le'ela ule'ela mikol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. A few words. First, please be seated. We're at the home stretch. It's all just really roses and apples and honey from here on in. I want to begin just with a gratitude. Start the year off right. Just a gratitude. If you can, Liz, call in Stephanie and Faith and Rachel if she's still here, and Mary and Jessica. Our staff has been busting their bums for weeks on this, and I just really want to give them deep gratitude. But in the meantime, we have our staff here, our incredible musicians, headed up by cantorial student Joshua Goldberg, and I just want us all to give them such gratitude. Will you introduce your band? Introduce your band.
Yes, so we have Mr. Zach Puchtel on the Divine Rhyme and vocals, Mr. Ian Martin, also known as Misha's Kind Foods cheesemaker. I know some of you know him. Kent Jenkins on the rimba tubes. Abby Sills on the drums and sound. Max Wagner on electric guitar. Mona Seda on trumpet. And Shira Fox. And we have James in the back there on sound as well. So thank you to all of these.
And I just want to call you out again, Max, for it's been over a year now that you've been doing the New York Times crossword puzzle every single day and solving it. I just need to honor that because I think of that from time to time, every time I frustratingly look at it and just pass it over after 4 or 5 questions in. So a blessing to you. Very cool. These are amazing, dynamic human beings, and they really bring their heart and soul into being a part of this community. So there's such gratitude for it. And then I want to invite the Open Temple staff. These are the faces to the voices you hear on the phone. Stephanie, who is master producer of this, our managing director. Please come forward. And is Faith here? Who's there? Is Mary here? Is Rachel here? Who's still here? Rachel, and who's there? Liz? Mary's not here. She's busy. Yeah. Liz? Okay, they're shy. But Pamela, will you go and get, Pamela is a board member, and she's going to present just a little gift to you guys for such gratitude. These guys pulled so much off. Look how beautiful our space is. So that's okay. You'll go.
Well, we just want to say on behalf of the board and Open Temple as a whole, thank you for taking such good care of everyone and for nourishing us, like nourish you.
Yeah, of course. Oh, you did it? Thanks, and Josh as well. And we also want to make sure that Rafa is given deep appreciation for coming today and lending her voice. And it was just so, it's such a response when I think of your Moroccan heritage and I think of Koli Shah, and that voices like Shira as well have been silenced for really a long time liturgically, and that you two come with such unbelievable energy. It's like Shekhinah arousing us. It is profound and real and to be reckoned with. So thank you. That was penetrating. Really amazing. Yes?
Sorry,
you want to say something else?
Continue,
yes.
The board would also like to thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm like, thank you.
Your dedication and for creating such an amazing experience for all of us to participate in. So
that's cool. Thank you. Thank you so much. I love you.
Above and beyond.
I feel that way about you. So there. Aw, thank you. Thank you so much. That's so nice. Oh, I love you. All right, we have to leave. It's time to go. We're almost done, so just give me a second more. So that's on our technical staff with Susan and Mateo. You guys did beautifully. James, thank you so much. We are live. People are watching this all over the world, live streamed through the Jewish Journal. It's going to be interesting to see our metrics because people are looking for things to look at on Rosh Hashanah. And so it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of feedback we got. This is through a generous grant through the Glazer Foundation that we went both online, and we also have another exciting thing to announce as we move forward. So Mateo, let's go through it. Our board. First, we thank you now. Again, today is really different. We personally really curated who would be here today. We do not want to do something for the masses. We want to create an authentic community, and I'm really amazed by how we were able to really just bring this room together with co-creators. I mean, this is the community of Open Temple. We're something real. I think it's the Shechianu moment. Boom. Like, we really are the people who want this to happen, and it's very beautiful. With that, I know Blake was going to say a few words about making it happen. I don't know if he's still here. Oh, he is still here. About making it happen, because we say that it should happen. So we just remind people, I'll remind them for you, that there's an idea of, you want to come up? Okay, cool. Come on up.
How long do you want?
Very short. Very short. Everyone's hungry. And we have Tasha.
I don't know how good this is going to be. I just left the hospital to come here, and then I'm going back. But, meanwhile, yeah, no, that's good stuff. So, basically, look around. Everybody's here. They're happy, right? We're in the house of God. We're in the house of God. It's supposed to be a safe place. It's wonderful. It's a community, and it's a place where we are. We're 0.02% of the population in the world. So if we're all affected by these kids and saying that we have 8 years left, what do we care? But what can we do now, right? So for years, everybody's been trying to take us out. We're a very, very small population, but one of the best and one of the most necessary to keep the world going. It means we have to take care of ourselves because the world doesn't care, and they would get rid of us in a heartbeat. They've tried many times, yet we form it. Anyways. Wow. If anybody read Startup Nation, it shows how Israel is now the 6th largest economy, pulling in entrepreneurial money from tech and medical and pharmacy and all that. And it's really a big deal. And what's funny about that is we're basically in Startup Nation. We're a couple clicks ahead, but we're here in Silicon Beach, which is AKA Startup Nation for all the real tech companies. And up north has moved them down here for that.
We have better surfing.
We do yeah, they have sharks up there. Anyway, so, you know, when Open Temple was created and the vision, it was about something that was just a safe place for people to go and enjoy Judaism and learn about themselves, or not Judaism, just spiritualism or whatever, you know. We're embody God, so why not bring them home sometimes? So it was a really great thing, and we wanted to make it open for everybody. So it's called Open Temple. We don't want anybody to have constraints on coming or making a big deal, but we're also a startup temple. And unfortunately, what we've learned is it's like a startup business. We don't take home any money and any of that stuff. We're not trying to go for profit, but at the same time, we have staff, we have bands, we have rabbis, we have rent, we have all types of things to pay. So if we could invest in our community a little bit, for our kids, for us, for the grants, we could cultivate and save this community, and community is what's necessary. If we leave it up to everybody else, and for most of the Gentiles, by the way, all that's going to happen is we're going to have more tent camps everywhere. Because our city seems not to be supporting a cultural type of safetiness. They're not donating us any buildings or anything for us to invite everybody to come and enjoy warmth and love in God, things that will keep all of us out of trouble and on track. But we are inviting everybody who's deciding to be anti-societal, and we're giving them a place to stay. So if all of us could count on each other and help a little bit, and we could get some more grants and more things, so we could try and have as many free events as we can, but also have a place for everybody who really cares to change the world. And Jews have always made a big, big deal about protecting ourselves and our community. You see it in the commandments. You see it in telling our children, telling our this. Let's tell it to ourselves. And let's do it, because business and politics, they won't get it done. But we could get it done. We've done it for thousands of years. We do it again. We do it now. Thank you.
Thank you, Blake. Sometimes you have such an you're like the dude meets like the Jewish dude, right? Anyway, thank you so much for that. I think the blessing that you're saying is this.
The dude was basically a Jew. He liked to bowl and smoke pot all day.
Right. And he didn't bowl on the Shabbos, right, because of his friend. But I want to just encourage us to, if we're not co-creators here, to be able to have the knowledge that we can convert our tickets into co-creatorship. An uptick in those statistics are really great for our funders as well. So we just give that invitation to anyone who might be new or not yet a co-creator. Let's roll through this. Thank you for you. Thank you for you. Everyone turn to someone and say thank you for you. Thank you for you. Thank you for you.
you for you. Thank you for you. All right, we move forward. We're almost there. Co-creators, amazing. Keep going. Co-creators, you're incredible. These are our sustainers. These are some of our grants that we apply for. The Jewish community has a sixth sense of humor because grant season is already open, so we go right out of high holidays into writing grants. Right now, the Glazer Foundation allowed us to do live streaming. Upstart, Open Door, all of these other organizations have been wonderful in supporting us. We move forward into, please like us on Facebook. I know it sounds smarmy, but please do. Again, those metrics are data gathered by people studying us, and they really help in letting funders know that we're doing impactful work. So if you haven't yet, please do that. Moving on, we are live streaming. You know that already. Moving on, this is our spiritual technology that we move through in understanding our personal curriculums. I give everyone a blessing to come and check out these other happenings that we have unfolding for the high holidays. Moving on, we have these unfolding for the high holidays, and these unfolding for the high holidays, and finally these unfolding for the high holidays. You'll get emails about it. Move forward. We would be remiss, continue, Matteo, to say it's been a space odyssey. I have hoped you have enjoyed your journey. Hal did not get in the way too much with us tonight, but our own spiritual impediments do. So let's try and take them on in a revolutionary attitude as we cultivate a new year and a new self and a turning to return again. Move on. Oh, bat mitzvah, move on. Soul journey. Oh, this is great. Going on Zoom. This should have been earlier. Sorry about that. We have an Intro to Judaism class. Anyone want to continue their spiritual practice and learning a little more about Judaism? No one's enthusiastic. It's a beautiful class. It starts in October. It's at Open Temple House. It's amazing. Please sign up. Bye, Blake. We love you. Good luck at the doctor. PhDs and rabbis teach it. Move on. Women's Circle happening October 3rd. It's a wonderful group. And a men's group. Do you want to speak of it? Wayne, the surfing law professor, philanthropist, businessman, is helping men come together in Kiddush Levana, which is a male ritual of the rising moon. We'll put something out. Moving on. Eighth blessing. This is the last thing. So the Glazer Foundation gave us a grant. I identified a problem. The problem is that people are becoming universal life ministers to marry their friends. I said this is a need that Jews have. It's a social entrepreneurial opportunity for Open Temple. We're launching right now. Welcome to the world, eighth blessing. How many of us are universal life ministers? I know you are, James, right? So this is the time to become a Jewish ritual life minister, and we're hoping that everyone tells their friends and they tell their friends, and then Open Temple has a nice little revenue stream coming in every month. Wouldn't that be fabulous? Yes, make it happen. Move on. Whoa, Jew truck rolling through Venice. We love it. It's groovy. We're going to be collaborating with California State University, Long Beach in a few weeks. On the beach, we bring Judaism and Torah to the playa next door. So here we go. You can move forward. We know about that. Please take a picture of this. This is important. If you are coming for Yom Kippur, we want you to send in. You'll also receive an email, photos of those you are remembering for Yizkor. Please send them in. Please remember, info@opentemple.org. Take a moment to do this right now. You will also receive an email to remind you, but please do it and send in your name, their name, and your relationship to this person. Thank you so much. Matteo, keep going. We turn to someone and we say, Gamar Chatima Tova, may you be sealed in the book of life, and may the revolution begin. Matteo.
All my wolves begin to howl. Wake me up, the time is now. Oh, can you hear the drumming? There's a revolution coming. Wide awake, the fever burns. Sweat it out, wait my turn. Can you hear the drumming? There's a revolution coming. All this doubt creeping in, inside out. I shed my skin. Can you hear the drumming? There's a revolution coming. I've been waiting all my life. Should live like I've only been dreaming. Get love when I've only been stealing. Can't let time keep passing me by. Run down what I've always been chasing. Black out every fear I've been chasing. All my wolves begin to howl. Wake me up, the time is now. Oh, can you hear the drumming? There's a revolution revolution coming. Ruchi Gevi Achi. Can you hear the drumming? There's a revolution coming. There's a revolution coming. There's a revolution coming. Can you hear the drumming? I'm rising up from the ground, from the bottom. Can't hold me down, hold me down. I'm rising up from the ground, from the bottom. Can't hold me down, hold me down, hold me down. All my woes begin to howl, wake me up, the time is now. Oh, can you hear the drumming? Oh, there's a revolution coming. There's a revolution coming. Drag my dog into the dawn. Oh, can you hear the drumming? Oh, there's a revolution coming. There's a revolution coming. There's a revolution coming. Oh, there's a revolution coming. There's a revolution coming. There's a revolution coming. There's a revolution coming. Oh, there's a revolution coming.
Anyone want some challah? Challah for challah. Hey Liz, where's the challah? Where's our challah boat? Our challah. Move it forward. Move it forward, Mateo. This is Kiddush for Rosh Hashanah. Vaydeber Moshe et modei Adonai el bnei Yisrael tiku b'chodesh shofar v'chaseh layom haganu ki chok leYisrael hu mishpat Elohei Yaakov savri meranan urabanan v'rabotai v'chaverai Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. What happened, Mateo? Go back to that. That was good. It's gone? We lost it. Anyway, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Where did apples and honey? No? That's Berei Priya 8, but here, we'll go here. All right, who wants some challah challah? Best challah in the world. Best challah in the world. Who's challah for challah? All right, can you bring that to the families over there? Let them have it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. Woo! Anything left? Go forward, Mateo. This is a good place to be. Yeah, stay there, Mateo. Go back one, Mateo. Yeah. It came before, it should come again. Where's it going? Go forward. There we go. It'll contextualize it all. Ladies are back. You gotta end with little David Byrne.
And you may find yourself living in a shotgun shack. And you may find yourself in another part of the world. And you may find yourself behind the wheel of a large automobile. And you may find yourself in a beautiful house with a beautiful wife. And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here? Letting the days go by, let the water hold me down. Letting the days go by, water flowing underground into the blue again. After the money's gone, once in a lifetime, water flowing underground. And you may ask yourself, how do I work this? And you may ask yourself, where is that large automobile? And you may tell yourself, Same as it ever was. 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 Same as it ever was.
Letting the days go by, let the water hold me down. Letting the days go by, water flowing underground into the blue again. After the body's gone, once in a lifetime, water flowing underground.
You may ask yourself, what is that beautiful house? You may ask yourself, where does that highway go to? And you may ask yourself, am I right? Am I wrong? And you may say to yourself, my God, what have I done?
Letting the days go by, let the water hold me down. Letting the days go by, water flowing underground into the blue again, into the silent water, under the rocks and stones. There is water underground. Letting the days go by, let the water hold me down. Letting the days go by, water flowing underground into the blue again. After the money's gone, once in a lifetime, water flowing underground.
Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Look where my hand was. Time isn't holding up. Time isn't after us. Same as it ever was. 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 Once in a
Won't you come see about me? I'll be alone, dancing, you know it, baby. Tell me your troubles and doubts, giving me everything inside and out. And love strange, so real in the dark. Think of the tender things that we were working on. Slow change may pull us apart. When a light gets into your heart, baby, don't you forget about me. Don't you forget about me. Will you stand above me? Look my way, never love me. Rain keeps falling down, down, down. Will you recognize me? Call my name or walk on by. Rain keeps falling down, 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 down. Don't you try and pretend it's my